All right, are you ready, Scott? All right, we'll get started here. I will call to order the Common Council meeting on January 10th at 7:32. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, Dave.
Roll call, please.
Alder Allen.
Present.
Alder Radafrada.
Here.
Alder Gerhardt.
Here.
Alder Herbst.
Here.
Alder Maldonado.
Here.
Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Alder Strassman.
Here.
Alder Udell.
Here.
Alder Wheeler.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next up is public appearances, non-agenda items, new appointments. I don't have anyone signed in to speak on non-agenda items. I don't believe anyone is. All right. So seeing nothing, we can keep moving to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Jay,
Second.
seconded by Dave. Anything people want to separate out and do Jim?
Yes, I move that separate out item 10.
Number 10, all right. Anything else people want to do separately? All right, seeing nothing else. All in favor of approving everything except number 10, say aye.
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 And anyone opposed, say nay. All right, that's approved. And then, Jim, do you want to do a motion for number 10?
Yes,
A change to it? Yeah.
yes, I'm going to move that item number 10, R-04-23, be postponed until February 6th, where the Board of Public Works can look at it and come back to council on February 14th.
Second.
All right, seconded by Gabriella. All in favor of approving with those changes, say aye.
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 And anyone opposed, say nay. All right, that is approved. Possibly, yeah. All right, we'll do the administrator's report in just 1 second here. Right.
I have another issue that's not on the agenda.
We did that real quick, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't have a sheet for that one. Yeah, I guess if that's fine, we can have we'll go back to the non-agenda items real quick. We have Mark Jones here to speak to that.
It won't take long.
All right, you got 3 minutes.
Mark Jones, 2266 South Sain Road. The railroad is begun a new twist. They're running trains at night. This week they ran 2. They've done it in the past a few times. It's not real common. But when they went down, there was only a couple cars, so that's not quite as concerning to me. When they came back with the oil cars that are stored south of Oregon, it went on for a long time. It was 2:30 in the morning. It's quiet out there at 2:30 in the morning, but somebody coming down Burn Road, you might not see that. So just so you're aware, you guys are all aware that that's an accident waiting to happen. And as we've done in the past, we've ignored problems, and just this last week, one we ignored was a tragedy. And I don't want to see a tragedy on Burn Road. So look at some stop signs there, please. Try to do something to at least get people used to being aware that that's there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then, Chad, do we have some other actual people as well? Okay, yeah, so all right, we got another one. We'll do that one real quick. A couple people were just a few minutes late, so yeah, real quick. We have Andrew, if you're ready right now, why don't you come up to speak on an non-agenda item as well?
Good evening. Sorry for being a few minutes late.
Oh, no problem.
So a few of our neighborhood are here from Uptown Crossing on South Sain Road, and considering the really unfortunate tragedy that happened last week on our neighborhood, we just really wanted to reach out to the Common Council and see what could be done to improve safety along that corridor. I know that I've spoken here on departmental meetings and common council meetings in the past about plans to improve safety along that stretch, and I know some of those have been considered. I had sat on the committee seeking neighborhood approval or neighborhood recommendations on what can be done, and during that time there's been a lot of safety measures discussed, but not really a whole lot of promises as to what can be done. So I'm just really hoping that everything that can be considered to improve safety along that corridor when construction happens in 2024 can happen, so that something like that doesn't happen again. And also look at what can be done immediately to address safety along that corridor, including a reduction of speed to 25 miles per hour, being a residential area, especially in front of our neighborhood. Those flashing "my speed is" signs, I think, is something that could really increase awareness of drivers as they're going through that stretch. And really just anything that can be done in the short term, because 2024 is a long ways away. And that project's already been delayed a few times, and I don't know if that's going to continue to be the place. And we just want to make sure everything's being done to continue to protect our neighborhood and make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I know that I've already asked staff to look to see what things we can do and talk to with our chief as well about, as available, having more patrols in the area to have people watch speeding, and as we have the speed boards available to temporarily put those out there as well. So I know that staff is looking at some possibilities, and I've talked with the chief already. It's, like you said, it's a very tragic, unfortunate incident, and hopefully we don't have any more of those for forever, actually, in the city, anywhere. So, okay. We will get back on schedule. We have the administrator's report next.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone's New Year is off to a great start. You had a relaxing holiday season for those who are out and about. Just a few items. Just a reminder, I mentioned this at the last council meeting, but that was early December. I just want to re-announce some new hires with the city. First one is Chris Lights, and he is the new city assessor. He started today, was his first day with the city. We also have a project engineer, Ross Collar, starting next Tuesday, January 17th. And finally, Tim Volker has been hired as our new Department of Public Works Director / city engineer, and his first day with the city will be January 23rd. We have one contested statewide race that will result in a primary, February 21st. That is for Supreme Court. None of our local elections are going to require a primary. And tax collection has gone very well so far this year. We had 2 LTE staff hired to help assist with the tax collection. And our finance director mentioned that in our department head meeting this morning that over $41 million in revenue had been collected during the first settlement so far. Obviously, that's not all exclusively for the city of Fitchburg. That is combined for all of our taxing jurisdictions that are on the property tax bills. And finance staff had received from one of our mortgage settlement companies a box with 1,300 checks, separate checks in it as well, which obviously creates some staff capacity need to process those in a timely manner to get those receipts out and make sure that they're all dated appropriately so folks can take deductions on taxes and so forth if they so choose. And then finally, I know the council approved our OpenGov software application project last year. The first use of that new system has gone live on January 3rd. That is the pet licensing component of the system. As with any new implementation, there have been a few minor issues, but by far we are receiving very positive feedback from the community and staff on the initial rollout with the pet licensing. And more will be coming. We anticipate building permitting happening in March or February as the next step, and then alcohol licenses are on deck for this summer as well. So there's, again, probably over 30 different components of the city and processes, permits, licensing that can be run through OpenGov. So we're off to a pretty good start initially. And that's all I have. Any questions?
All right, seeing none, we can keep moving to Plan Commission. Randy.
Very good. Motion to approve ordinance 2022-0-44, formerly RZ-2455-22, zoning ordinance amendment approving rezone request RZ-2455-22 by Mark Jones, agent for Jones Family Sain Farm Trust, and Andy and Kelly Lowry to rezone properties from AX District to RL, low-density residential, and AS small lot agricultural districts to separate existing residential home onto its own parcel and redistribute property boundaries among agricultural lands on South Sain Road.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan Commission approved.
Did Ag and Rural Affairs approve?
Ag and Rural approved.
All right, do you want to speak to what this is?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Both of this ordinance and then the next resolution kind of run hand in hand with the Mark Jones property. I don't know if there's any specific questions. We do have Mark Jones here, so.
It's very similar. This came forward earlier, and it was, I think, 3 parcels at that point in time. Now it's gone down to 2 just to make it a little easier to keep doing what he wants on the agricultural land.
That is correct, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we do have Mark Jones here available for questions, obviously also in support of this and the next item. So he is available if there are any questions. Is there any questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. That's approved. Next one, please.
All right. Motion to approve Resolution R-243-22, which is CS-2453-22, approving certified survey map request CS-2453-22 by Mark Jones, agent for Jones Family Sain Farm Trust, and Andy and Kelly Lowry to subdivide properties to locate one residential home on its own lot and redistribute property boundaries among agricultural lands located on South Sain Road.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Did Plan Commission approve?
Plan Commission approved.
Did Ag and Rural Affairs approve?
Ag and Rural Affairs approved, yes.
Same project.
Same
Mark is
project.
still here to answer questions if you have any questions. Jay.
This has nothing to do with Mark, but this is another one of these things that I brought up at a previous meeting where we rezone something first and then we subdivide it. And I think under correct procedure, we should subdivide it first and then rezone it. So it doesn't affect anything here. I just think for doing things in the proper order, we should always have the certified survey maps before we do the rezones.
Process clarity, I suppose.
Great. All right. Anything else? All right. Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
And opposed, nay. All right. That is approved. Going on to Public Works.
Aaron, could Jim do these? I'm told that my microphone is giving an echo or something here.
Sure. I'm sure he'd love to do those. We'll put him on the spot.
Sorry, Jim.
Has happened before. Get a motion to approve ordinance 2022-0-41, creating Chapter 64, Article 3 of Fitchburg General Code of Ordinances relative to wireless telecommunications facilities in the right-of-way.
Second.
Sent by Jay. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
Did Plan Commission approve?
Yes.
All right. And do you want to speak to this, Jim?
Actually, I'll let Dave, you can speak to it, can't you?
I'll try if you can hear me all right. So I think you're aware that the wireless, these smaller wireless facilities have the authority to locate in road right of way. And, in an effort to be able to regulate this or track it, we created a general ordinance so that we can basically set in place a process for approving these and having them follow some sort of guidelines. So that's what this is about.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so this is kind of 5G type of thing, and there's an item in the finance part of the agenda that also relates to this as well, so we'll be talking about that then. But just putting in some guidelines for 5G as that continues to roll out, just in case. I mean, the idea with 5G is that there's a lot of hubs throughout the that really, hopefully on the roadways and on existing infrastructure, but we want to make sure we've got some guidelines in place, though, as you know, the telecommunications industry spends a lot of money on lobbyists, so they do as much as they can to prevent us from having much control at all. So, Gabrielle?
Do we have these facilities already, or is this something that we anticipate coming in the near future?
Are you aware of any, Chad?
I'm not aware of anything that falls under this particular ordinance, and we don't have anything proposed at this point in time, but we do anticipate that as technology continues to change, that we will have proposals coming forward, and this, again, just sets us up for that.
Just get ahead of it.
Yep.
It's a little confusing because at least my phone says 5G on it, but I don't think it's actually 5G. It's just like a marketing thing on your phone at this point in time. It's not true 5G. Yeah, Julia, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. How big are these boxes? Because I heard that some of these boxes can be bigger than a big pizza box, or bigger. Do you have any idea how big are those?
I would not until we would have a proposal that would actually, demonstrate what sort of equipment they would want to install within the city right away. So I have no idea how big that those boxes would be at this point in time. I get the impression that they're not excessively large, but I'm sure that's also a matter of personal taste and interpretation.
Jay?
I happen to know the answer to this question. The 5G boxes are smaller than what we've ever had before for these facilities. And the reason is, one of the problems with 5G is that the signal, because of its higher frequency, doesn't travel as far. It can carry a lot more data, but it doesn't travel as far, and so it's a lower powered signal. They need these, so they have to start spacing these facilities closer and closer together. So like with a 3G or a 4G tower, you can get 2 to 3 miles out of one of those. With a 5G, you're lucky to get 1 mile, and if you have buildings in the way, you have other issues because a lot of these signals are line of sight. So I think there will be proposals in order to provide better coverage. I think there will be proposals for more of these. Unfortunately, I had written our previous telecommunications ordinance, which went into great detail about this, because what I was hoping we would be able to do is install new facilities on already existing poles and towers, which is what the previous ordinance was really driving things toward. But because of the direction the legislature has taken, we can't regulate that anymore. We can't even encourage it. All we can do is try to control it a little bit with some safety protocols. So that's kind of where we're at now. But I don't expect, I saw a couple of these, I saw a couple of these boxes, and they were mounted to a utility pole, and it was maybe 2 feet wide by maybe 3 feet high up on the pole. So it wasn't a ground structure at all. And I suspect as much as they can, they're going to try to mount these on the poles, because otherwise they got to put in a concrete pedestal and the cost just goes up. So I think to the extent they can do that, that's probably what they're going to try to do.
Rainey, do you have a question? Then Julia after that.
No, I think Jay is correct, at least. I think it's already been deployed in the Madison area. They're probably moving to other more municipalities that they haven't focused in on. I'm sure they're expanding their footprint.
Julie, do you have another question?
Yes, but I forgot. Oh, no. So are places where we are not going to allow to install this, or we should be allowing them to install this whenever, whenever they want, or where they want, you know what I mean? Is there any location where we can say we don't want those antennas to be installed, or I don't know, I want to be sure that we have any control on where those things can be installed in the city, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we have a whole lot, Jay.
Yeah, the short answer to that question is no. If it's in a public right-of-way and there's already existing utilities there, they can use the state has granted them basically eminent domain authority. It's the same thing that that they are followed under the same authority that ATC has to put power lines in places. They don't actually have to get permission. All they have to do is come up with a proposal and try to work out differences. But if they can't work out differences, they can put their stuff wherever they want, as long as it's in a currently existing right-of-way that already has utilities in it. If there's not current utilities there, then there's some more complications that come up, but we're still pretty limited as to what we can do.
And like you said, they want to do it on existing infrastructure so they don't have to pay for poles.
Right. I think that's what their preference would be.
All right, Jim?
I was just going to say, plus, one of the purposes I think that people are forgetting about this ordinance is that we're unifying what the standards are pretty much, through the state, and just giving us a process to where we're not creating barriers for these smaller entities.
All right. You can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Next one, Jim.
Yeah, get a motion for ordinance number 2022-0-43, updating Fitchburg ordinances to allow appeal of impact fees by amending section 2418 of Fitchburg General Code of Ordinances.
Now is move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Signed by Gabriella. The Public Works approve?
Yes.
The Finance approve?
Finance approved.
All right, and do you want to speak to this or someone else?
Yeah, this just formalizes our process for entities to basically appeal impact fees. Now that is going to be specifically said in the ordinance.
Okay, great. Any questions? Dave, go ahead.
Just a clarification, we did not have the appeal did not include impact fees before, when we reviewed our ordinances. And so, well, it was consistent. To be consistent, we put the appeal process in for these fees.
All right. See nothing else, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next one, Jim.
Motion to approve resolution R-226-22, purchase 2023 Toro Groundsmaster 5910 more.
Second.
Signed by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
Finance approve.
Finance approved.
All right. And do you want to talk to this one, Jim? Sounds like a lawnmower.
Yeah, I'll have Misty talk about this one since it deals with finances.
I think it's pretty standard, but go ahead, Misty.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't expecting that one. So this is a piece of equipment that was budgeted in 2023 to be replaced, and so we're bringing it forward. We did get Sourcewell pricing, which is a competitive pricing. There's two unique things about this one, though. One is that staff is requesting that we keep the piece of equipment that we're replacing so that we have a spare, especially as these replacements are taking so much longer. And if things happen, it's helpful to have that spare available. So this resolution would include that authority. And then when we did get our pricing, the price that they provided is based off of if we actually received the piece of equipment now. But because of various delays with the supply chain and et cetera, they did include a clause that the price could increase depending on when we actually receive that equipment. So we are requesting permission to spend up to that cap amount for the latest that we might receive it. Hopefully, of course, we get it sooner and the cost isn't that high, but that is a possibility.
All right. I don't see any other questions, so all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. That one's approved. Next one, Jim.
Yeah, motion to approve resolution number R-232-22, approving the 2023 impact fee rate.
Signed by Jay. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
And who's going to speak to this?
We have a presentation
Oh,
that's
this
going
is
to
our
be done by
presentation. Oh, all right, good.
Maxwell.
Come on in.
Well, I won't take up too much of your time. Don't worry. I thought it might be helpful to give you a brief refresher on impact fees since it has been a little while, though. I believe it was 2009 the last water study was done. So want to refresh your memory quickly on what impact fees are in general, and then what in particular was done in this study. I won't go through everything in the report, just hit the high notes. Here. So the principle enacted with impact fees is that growth pays for growth. The idea is to collect these fees to put in infrastructure that serves new growth, and it's for public capital projects. There's a laundry list of things that they cannot cover according to the state statutes, like operations costs and vehicles and what are called existing deficiencies, which are services or infrastructure to serve current residents, as well as anything for replacements or repairs of infrastructure. Also what's referred to as excess capacity. In other words, infrastructure to serve growth beyond the forecast period in question. As well as current law compliance, like to make something ADA compliant would not fall under impact fees. And you can charge basically anyone who would benefit from this, any new growth who would benefit. So what has to go into the study according to the state statutes includes a clearly defined service area, which in this case is very easy, it's the whole city. And from there, a forecast of growth, an inventory of what you currently have to serve your existing residents and businesses, and then what are your service standards? In other words, how do you define what is adequate and what would meet the needs of new growth? You also need a list of the future projects and their costs to serve that new growth, and then there has to be some analysis done of housing affordability as well. One recent change in the state statutes is that you have to provide developers with an explanation for what the fees pay for when they pay them, and this study can serve as that explanation. Also, in terms of the process, you have to make the study available at least 20 days before a public hearing, issuing a Class 1 notice, having a public hearing, and then a vote on the impact fees. Just to step back, impact fees, like in their simplest possible terms, is just a division problem. You're looking at a portion of project costs that are to serve new growth, and then you're dividing that by whatever the growth happens to be in your forecast. So let's say you have $1 million worth of projects that are attributable to new growth. You're going to have 1,000 new homes coming in, therefore each home would pay $1,000. There's a lot that goes into each of those numbers, but that's what it boils down to. And then ongoing requirements after you pass a study and pass the fees. Staff has to report out annually on how much was collected and how much was spent for each department. And then each department that has impact fees has to track those separately from everything else. The third bullet point is pretty important. You have to refund them if you don't spend them within a certain time limit. 8 years is standard for most areas. Sewer, for some reason, gets 10. And this is best avoided if possible. So far, Fitchburg has not been in that situation. You also need to have an appeals process, which you just took care of, so that's fantastic. And then the last bullet point isn't a requirement, but I highly recommend you update them every 5 or so years. That's to capture new forecasts, new cost estimates, changes in what projects might be needed. So it's a good practice. Otherwise, you could end up over-collecting or under-collecting. Either one's a problem. Then a couple other quick points. Impact fees sometimes don't pay for an entire project, so to that end, it's helpful to know how are you going to pay for the rest of it. In this case, with the water impact fees, they pay for most of the projects in question, and the rest would be covered with utility fees. And then to sort of extend the time frame beyond that 8 years, if you take out debt on a project, you can use impact fees to pay for that over the life of the debt. So that sort of circumvents the 8-year limit. When we look at the specifics of Fitchburg, we've seen quite a bit of growth in terms of recent sales of water and pumpage, close to 3% per year. And so that was used to build a forecast along with the population forecast. And we're looking at over 70% growth in water use on a typical day in the next 20 years. So that kind of increase in demand requires additional infrastructure. And fortunately, city staff has been planning for that and has a list of projects to help with that. And these projects are listed out on the left-hand side. The water mains are clustered in groups of years. And then to the right of that is the cost for these projects. And then to the right of that is what's called the new growth share. And when I was talking about costs that are attributable to new growth, that's what this percentage represents. So, and that depends on the existing inventory, the forecast, and your service standard that you've selected. So in the case of water mains, they're really necessary to provide service at all, so 100% of those is attributable to new growth. And then the wells, I won't go into all the technical terms for that, but it's based on firm capacity, ability to supply water throughout the city, and about 2/3 of those costs are eligible, or 66%. Towers D and F, those are based on a service standard that combines 3 different classes of storage. It includes fire protection and optimization of water storage, and about 3/4 of those costs are eligible. So we take the cost times the new growth share, and you get impact fee eligible dollars. And so we're looking to recover approximately $13.76 million in impact fees. But before we divide that number, we have to subtract out a couple things. One is revenue from special assessments, because we don't want to double collect for these assets. So we subtract out that number. We also back out the existing water impact fee fund balance as well. In other words, dollars collected but not yet spent for these projects, which is about $2.5 million. So what we're really looking to recover is $10.9 million here. We take that and we divide it by the number of residential equivalent connections, which is, roughly speaking, how many connections are going to be added to the water supply in the next 20 years, which is about 12,000. And we get our fee per rec, which is $908. The current fee is $1,374. So that's a decrease of 34% for residential customers. That is not the full story, though, because there's a formula change as well that will impact a non-residential customers differently. So the way these fees are assigned is each residential customer is automatically assigned one residential equivalent connection. It's just part of the definition. So they will pay that $908. For non-residential customers, we're trying to figure out how much water are they going to use and then basing their overall charge on that. So the way it works is you take your estimated demand, what we think they're going to use for water, divided by the average residential demand and multiply it by that fee per rec. The big change, or one of the big changes in that formula, is average residential demand has gone down very significantly in the last 14 or so years. In 2009, your average residence was consuming 225 gallons per day. Now, over the average of the last 4 or 5 years, it's 130 gallons per day. So that's a significant decline. Therefore, that results in a cost shift. Since they're using less water, they're going to pay less. But the residential customers on the whole are going to pay a little more. Just to walk you through a quick example, let's say we have a business that'll use 1,000 gallons of water per day. With our current formula, we take that 1,000 gallons, divide it by 225 gallons, which is up until now that current rec, and then multiply it by the current fee, which is that $1,378. So they would pay approximately $6,100. With the proposed formula, we're taking that same 1,000 gallons and dividing it by the new average residential use, which is 130 gallons, and then multiplying it by the $908. And we get a fee or total fee of a little under $7,000. So the net change for non-residential customers is going to be an increase of 14%. And the reason that this is being recommended is otherwise your residential customers will be subsidizing your non-residential customers if you don't change that formula. So I know I barreled through a lot of information, but this is my recommendation. I want to see what questions you might have on impact fees in general or particulars of Fitchburg. Yes.
So I have a couple of questions. Does this, this deals with existing facilities, right, for maintenance? Does it deal with collecting money to add additional facilities?
Yes, that's the primary purpose. It cannot pay for
Okay.
existing facilities like repairs or
So
replacements.
that's paid for through the standard rate, the standard utility rate.
Correct, yes.
So this is just simply the idea that we're going to have to add a couple of towers and,
Correct, yes.
Any other, Gabriel? Go ahead.
So what happens for apartment buildings, for these big apartment buildings that are kind of corporations that rent out? Is that considered a residential or a non-residential?
Great question. I should have clarified. That's, when I say residential, that's single-family residential. Yeah. And so there would be an estimated water use associated with that apartment building. And so it would use that formula.
it would use the commercial formula?
The non-residential.
The non-residential. So you wouldn't just assume that 51, let's say there's a 50-unit apartment building, that they're going to each use 130 gallons a day.
I believe that's correct. I can double check that with the utility staff, but yeah, that's my understanding.
Any other questions, Gabriel?
Yeah, I'm just curious. This was a really interesting presentation, and I liked the report too as well. The only thing, I think obviously what you propose is very justified. I'm curious about the housing affordability calculation though, because obviously that holds for a household. But when I think about housing affordability, I'm usually thinking of families that maybe aren't affording a single family home. They're renting an apartment building, which might be subject to that 14% increase. And anyway, those are the residents that I feel like the housing affordability is the issue that's at stake, not somebody that's buying a market rate home. So I don't know if it looks like it was only for the market rate home that was being calculated.
That's correct. And it gets tricky to figure out how it might impact apartment rates, because it would be the owner who pays, and how do they pass that on to those who are renting. And that I don't have clear visibility on, so it's hard to say exactly how that trickles down, but it is a great point.
All right. Seeing nothing else, we can go ahead and vote on this one. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next one, Jim.
Yep. Motion to approve resolution.
Actually, this one and the next one actually both have to be postponed to February 13th. Because,
Yeah, I just got it marked down for the second one, so.
well, February 6th public works, but February 13th council meeting. 14th. Okay, 14th council meeting. All right. That. Wow, just what I always wanted. All right.
Okay.
So if you could postpone it to those dates, that'd be great.
Okay. Motion to postpone resolution R-237-22 to the February 14th council meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. All in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. That's postponed. Next one.
Motion to postpone resolution R-238-22 to the February 14th council date.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. All in favor of postponing, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's postponed as well. All right, now you can go back to the normal.
Okay, motion to approve resolution R-239-22, accepting subdivision improvements for Phase 3 in the plat of Crescent Crossing.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. The public works approve.
Yes.
And do you want to speak to this?
Yes, it's just our standard agreement that we have with developers to make improvements in the development, and the city engineer has accepted those improvements.
Great. Any questions at all? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. That is approved. And last one.
Yeah, motion to approve resolution number R-240-22, authorizing purchase of 1.5-inch and 2-inch water meters.
Second.
Seconded by Gabriella. Did public works approve?
Yes.
Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
All right. And this one, Jim, is what?
This is part of our replacement for the water meters, which will help us actually improve our accuracy and getting the correct numbers for billing.
Yeah, it's our standard purchase we do every year for all the new development that happens, so we can put water meters in. It's important. Jay?
So since these are 1.5 and 2-inch meters, I presume these are for commercial properties, not for residential, because those are going to be 3/4 or 1 inch, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Do we have enough of those in stock?
We should.
Hopefully we don't, because there's so much growth this year.
Well,
right.
since we're not buying any, I'm presuming
that's a
we have some inventory, but
That's a separate. Aye. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that one's approved. And we can go on to Parks Commission. Julia.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just came from vacation like 2 hours ago, and I haven't had chance to watch the meeting. So I'm gonna make my report next council meeting.
All right, sounds good. Library Board.
we are meeting next week.
All right. Commission on Aging well.
Our meeting on Thursday.
All right. RCC.
RCC, we met yesterday, talk about some upcoming events. The two things that are scheduled, we do have another recycling, electronics and shred event on April 29th. The same we do every spring and fall, so that's coming up, save the date, Saturday morning. And then we are planning to do a waterway cleanup in the 4 locations we typically go to on April 15th, and that's Swan Creek, Duns Marsh, Yarmouth Greenway, and Quarry Hill is where we typically go in the past. So April 15th is the day for that. We also got a chance to discuss the RFP for the sustainability plan, so that hopefully will go out very soon, and hopefully we can get that started sometime middle of this year. So that was exciting, and we actually had a really interesting conversation too. I think we've all received some emails about limiting of salt use on the roads and residential streets. Ben, our environmental engineer, brought some ordinance from Madison about limiting salt use on sidewalks, and we kind of had a long conversation about the potential of considering an ordinance like that for Fitchburg, the pros and cons and the pitfalls of, and maybe the mistakes that maybe the errors that maybe the Madison ordinance had that we can do well. But ultimately, salt use, there's like a lack of education. People don't typically. They're not doing it because they're overusing it intentionally. They just don't really know the effect it has on the environment, and also just that they don't need to use that much. So there's definitely an education component there as well. So that was an interesting conversation. And that's all.
All right. What about TTC?
TTC, we are meeting this Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
All right. What about CETA?
Our next meeting is to be determined.
All right. Ag and Rural Affairs.
Ag and Rural Affairs met December 20th. Discussion was on the ordinance and the resolution that we discussed earlier regarding the Mark Jones property off of Sain Road. And then there was also discussion regarding storage within ag facilities, barns, so forth, as far as storing trailers and possible ordinance or updating an ordinance. And then there was some discussion on the next annual meeting, which we hope to have at Four Winds again.
All right. So. What about EMS Commission?
Next meeting is the 19th, next Thursday.
All right. Bicycle Committee.
Our next meeting is February 7th at 7:30 a.m.
All right. Tree Advisory.
No report.
All right. Landmarks Preservation.
No report.
Housing Advisory.
Our next meeting is March 13th in the afternoon.
All right. Healthy Neighborhoods.
Our next meeting is tomorrow.
Ooh, exciting. All right. Finance Committee. Randy.
Okay. Motion to approve Resolution R-210-22, updating the 2023 fee schedule to include initial application and annual fees for small wireless facilities, which was postponed from the December 13th, 2022 meeting.
Second.
I believe, did you make a motion as amended by staff?
I apologize. So I will make that motion to recommend what's recommended by staff to strike the 2022, which was last year.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Seconded by Gabriella. And would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, well, basically, this is just setting the fee schedule for what we discussed earlier regarding the small wireless facilities.
All right. So this is like the 5G thing as well,
5G
just what those fees would be. And like you said, we struck 2022 because it's 2022 is gone. So,
When we're into 2023.
yeah. All right. Any questions? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next one.
All right, motion to approve Resolution R-233-22, meeting rooms AV updates.
Second.
Signed by Jay. Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
And what's this one about?
Not sure we have Jeremy, but Jeremy spoke at,
He just popped. He's popping up right now. Looks like.
all right.
Ooh.
All right.
Well, he doesn't look. He looks a little faded out, but that's all right.
Does he want to address the updates or?
I hope he does. He's on mute right now. There he goes. Just what those things would be, and like you said, we struck 2022 because it's.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Can.
All right, sorry, I've got two meetings going on. Hold on one second.
Aye.
Excellent. Motion to approve resolution R-233-22, meeting rooms AV update.
Oh my gosh. All right, can you still hear me?
We can still hear you and ourselves.
All right, sorry. I had like 3 windows open with the wrong stuff and a son who doesn't want to go to bed. All right, so I'll make it quick here. This project is to update our meeting rooms. That would include the council chambers and the meeting room. So Jeannie Sealing Room and the Francis Hutley Cooper council chambers. We did put this project out for bid and only got one bid. It was Peak Systems Group, which has done work with us in the past. So that's great news for us because we have worked with them and they have done a great job with the work. The quote did, though, come over what we had for the funds. So we did rework the project with the vendor and split it into 2 phases. I'll talk about that in just a moment. What the project is, though, is we're updating the infrastructure to accommodate for not only we have to do upgrades for AV systems, but we're also doing upgrades because of the hybrid meeting model that we now live in. And so this updates are going to replace outdated and broken equipment, update AV infrastructure that includes the video capture, audio capture, amplified sound, displays, and that hybrid meeting space. Simplicity and duplicate systems in all the meeting rooms. So we're also trying to create a space that's friendly for the staff and easy to use for the staff. So no matter which meeting space you go into to do a public meeting, you're able to use that technology fluently, and hopefully it's simpler than what we've got today. Future proofing when possible as well. That's really something that we're always trying to do when we go back and do infrastructure. We're trying to make sure that we're planning for the future. So what's going in these 2 rooms? In the Jeannie Sealing Room, you're going to see replacement of the projector and screen with a large TV, new AV infrastructure. That means the connections for users, FACT TV, hybrid meeting model, which includes NDI. NDI is another form of transforming of video processing over Cat5, Cat6. That's our future proofing that we're working on. New audio system, and this is important. In the Jeannie Sealing Room, we have a bunch of cables on the table that you're all familiar with. We want to get those off the table and make it a lot cleaner when we're having meetings in there. So we'll be replacing all of that with hanging microphones and a little bit better of amplified sound, along with extra wireless technology in there, because that is truly a great meeting space, and we want to use it to our full capacity. And then in-room controller as well. Both meeting spaces will have it so staff can control this easy by coming in, pressing a button, and starting up our hybrid technology. In the council chambers, phase 1, we're looking at, it's again, identical project here, just not doing everything right away in this one. But the AV system in there is failing. You guys know that. We've been, have this on a Band-Aid and gaffered up, holding together, trying to hopefully get this project done. But that includes our AV system, that will include the hybrid NDI infrastructure, audio updates. Our computer for the audio system is due up for an update, and will play into the hybrid capture and control system that we're putting in place here. The monitors is another good example. You'll have monitors around the ring that you guys will actually be able to see things a lot easier when you're sitting in your chair there. They'll be right in front of you. ultimately, we are trying to set this up that we're hosting a meeting. We're considering all aspects. So hybrid folks that are tuning in, we want you to be able to see them, hear them clearly by placing these monitors closer to you up at the dais as you sit around. There'll be a monitor for each one of you. We'll be replacing in phase 2, which I'll talk about in just a second, the projector and screen, but that will stay in here in phase 1. But the monitors at the council ring is important. You'll have those. And then again, the in-room control. Phase 2, it's a proposal in the next TID closure. We're asking for $50,000, and this would finish off the project, including the camera updates for Fact TV, new displays. So you will see 4 85-inch TVs plopped right hanging from the center of the council chambers. So if you look up right now at the council chambers, you're looking dead center there, off to the right and to the left of the X, you'll see the monitors be placed there. This is also important because we want, again, the audience to be looking at you. We want you to be able to look at the audience plus address the hybrid. And right now you're turning your head all sorts of different ways, not talking into my microphone system. So I'm trying to help you and make this meeting a little bit easier in this interactive space, if you will. And then more NDI infrastructure would be part of our phase 2 piece. Just a couple of quick facts here on the importance of doing this. There has been a lot of planning and research that's gone into this project. We brought in a couple of vendors to help us work through. We asked for the everything under the kitchen sink to know what the space is that we're working with, and also to understand what other municipalities' meeting spaces are being integrated with this hybrid meeting technology. Fitchburg was in a really good spot. Council has done a great job of keeping these spaces up to date. And so this upgrade will help us, again, bring in that new hybrid piece a lot easier. And I think a lot of municipalities are starting from scratch today. We're not. We're taking what has already been a great system and really enhancing that. What would have been distance learning, I would have considered that distance learning or video chatting is now that hybrid meeting space. Council chambers has been used more since COVID. We've used that space way more than we ever did before. That's important because it had the most technology in it, and we were able to integrate this hybrid space. We also have condensed our 2 public meeting spaces into 2. We had the conference room as a meeting space for public safety was a good example of that meeting being in there. We're not using the conference room anymore. We're only using the meeting room and the council chambers. So we're not only thinking for functionality, budget, and where we're putting our technology. We want the technology to be the best that it can be in the space in the budget that we have. So really attacking these 2 rooms are our best 2 public meeting spaces because of what we have and because what we'll do with this project. And Fact TV, and you guys know this because you sit through them, but you're talking over 200 plus meetings a year that we're broadcasting for you. So as an importance piece here too, you got a lot of meetings that you cover. We're making the access to everybody, which is awesome. And this will continue to allow for access for everybody. Project delays are expected. The supply chain issue, we've already been told by the vendor, so there will be some of that in this project. And I just want to note too that we are repeating this setup in our future meeting room. So the library has a meeting room upgrade coming this year. And I know in the possible TID project proposals, there's meeting rooms that are looking for upgrades as well. So we'll use what we've learned to try to adapt those to those meeting spaces. But overall, we're at a good spot, and this will enhance what we've got. And again, making that hybrid space even better and continue to be functional with what we got.
All right. Any questions at all? Jay?
Yeah, I know that I'm just going to forget about what we might have done. But I know that cabling that comes to the table up here probably wasn't really adaptable to newer technology. So I don't know, has that been replaced? Are we going to have to replace it again?
Are you referring to the, I guess, what cabling are you referring to?
Well, like the microphone and speaker cables that originally were installed when the building was built was not what I had suggested. It was a cheaper version, and I'm sure that's been replaced since then. but is that going to have to be replaced again?
Excuse me. No, for this piece, no, that infrastructure is in place. So we replaced that back in, I want to say it was 2014, 2015. Well, we bypassed actually a lot of the old cabling in there that was laid in the new audio cables. One thing that we've had, and you've probably heard it in the chambers, is we've had some feedback from old cables and cabling alike from the radio station. So we ended up having to lay a lot of new cable. The new cable that would be laid for this project would be the NDI. So we don't have any Cat 5, Cat 6 laid. I would say any additional hasn't been laid. So that would be part of this project and phase 2 as well in the council chambers. But the microphones that are in, those are all new within the last again, 5 to 7 years. So we're not looking at replacing the microphones in there. It's the behind the scenes systems that continue to get upgraded. When I started in 2010, I mean, equipment would last for, a long time. And you guys know the story. It repeats itself. What now is even under 5 years, which is just hard to swallow. And some things are not even worth repairing. So we're fighting that every day with how we're planning these things out and trying to stretch these things as long as we can. But the technology continues to change on us, which, again, that's where we try to future-proof this as much as we can, but it can be difficult.
The other question I had is, as I look up here, I remember when these stupid halogen strip lights were put in, and I think I've only ever seen them on one time, and they've never come on again. Are those going to remain, or are those going away, or?
Jay, you had some long meetings a long time ago when I started that, no. The lights are going away. We actually have another project that's in the works as we speak. The lights in the chambers were actually just replaced. So all the regular lighting in there was replaced. It came in a little bit darker than what we were hoping. But all of the track lighting that is in there is proposed to be replaced with the funds for that are part of this session. Misty can say better than I can, but you have $20,000 allocated to replace that. I met actually with the electrician today on how we're going to dismantle that and replace that with some new lighting. We'll have that proposal coming your way, hopefully in the next month.
All right.
Anything else? Seeing nothing else, we can go ahead and vote then. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. That is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, another one, Randy.
All right, motion to approve Resolution R-234-22, adopting the schedule to update the ARPA TID closure investment plan.
Second.
Sent by Jay, the finance approve.
Finance approved.
All right, and are you letting Misty speak to this, or are you going to?
Yeah, Misty's on. If she would like to speak to it, sure. Mm-hmm.
Sure. So this is the update that we're proposing for the investment plan that you guys adopted about this time last year. So the schedule is in the packet. I did include a couple of small changes from the last time that we did this process, but I noted all of those at the bottom. Ultimately, this process would follow the CIP process that we usually do. So if this is adopted tonight, the mayor's proposed investment plan update will be released next week, Friday. There'll be a special finance committee meeting, and then council will have the opportunity to submit amendments, and then you will vote on those amendments and adopt the plan in March. Keep in mind, this is kind of a pre-plan. So this is just your first blush at things that you want staff to continue to look at. It does not actually start projects by any means. After this, it would have to go through the CIP and the budget process before things would actually move forward. So this is just that first, yes, we're interested in doing this. Please continue to explore it.
Jay.
All right. When this gets sent out, which you're saying is going to be on January 20th, is that going to include a list of all the stuff that we talked about last year, and then just, whether the mayor's proposing it or not? Will we have the list of all the stuff that we went through in that long meeting?
So you'll have a list of all of the stuff that was included in the actual adopted investment plan. And then I plan to provide information on what the status is of those projects, because some of them were then included in the budget or did a budget amendment, and some of them we have updated costs. So yes, you'll get a new picture on where we're at with what was already approved. And then you'll be able to use that for what you want to move forward with after that.
Groovy.
Julia, go ahead. We can't.
So, yeah, I am confused with this. So we are also including the new money from the 2023. What is the other one? The TID number, I don't know, 64, I don't remember. Closure 2 in this schedule?
Yes. So included in the last adopted, we were just talking at the time about the ARPA money and the TID 6 closure. We are now going through the process to close TID 4. So the plan is that that money would also be rolled into this plan, this investment plan, for you to decide how you want to spend that one-time money as well.
So there going to be new project coming to use that funds that the mayor is going to propose.
So some new projects, but I'll remind you that when we adopted the investment plan originally, there was a lot more projects in there than money that we had available. So if those projects all survive the cut, there won't be $4 million worth of new projects available because some of that money will have to go to those ones you've already kind of said you wanted to do.
And there's a number of projects that are coming in more expensive than we originally thought as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's additional cost there. So that's going to take up a lot of that capacity too.
So I have another follow-up question, Aaron. So will Alder have the opportunity to bring other projects that they are not in the list?
Yep, you'll be able to do amendments just like you would with CIP or the budget. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just like we did this last year too.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else? All right. Seeing nothing else, we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Personnel Committee.
We meet tomorrow, January 11th at 4 p.m., and we have a pretty extensive meeting. One of the big items is approving a contract for the organizational review and staffing study that we've mentioned multiple times in the past. We also have a few resolutions that were referred out today, and then also a whole slew of reclassification of employees. So it'll be a busy meeting, but that definitely report back about that contract for organizational review. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Public Safety.
We had one operator's license needing special attention for Miguel Jose Fene, and it was denied based on an incident he had. We've instructed him when it's cleared up, possibly in 18 months, to come back and reapply again.
All right. I believe that we need to do a motion to deny.
Oh, okay. I would move we deny the operator's license for Miguel Jose Fene.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of denying, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that denial is approved. And we can keep going on to, there's no unfinished business. One new business direct referral. This looks like Public Works. Jim, do you want to do this one?
Yes. Move approval of Resolution R-03-23, approving the termination of the estimate with MG&E to underground power lines and the termination of development agreement with Green Tech Land Company, Tech Lands LLC, and FTC Holdings.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. The Public Works approve?
Yes.
The Finance approve?
Finance approved, yes.
All right. Do you want to speak to this or have someone else?
I'll let Misty speak to this one.
All right. Go ahead, Misty.
Sure. So there are two different components included in this resolution, both of which need to get done in order for us to continue down this path of closing TID number 4 that we've talked about in a variety of different ways now. So the first one is in 2021, Council approved an agreement with MG&E to underground the power lines at the intersection of Lacey and Sain. We did that at that point because that was when the expenditure period was ending. Staff has looked at that project, and because of increased costs and timing issues, we are recommending that we cancel that project at this point. It doesn't mean that we're not interested in undergrounding the power lines, but instead of paying for it out of TID 4, we would look at including that as part of the Lacey Road to the east reconstruction project that will hopefully come forward with the TID 14 area with the Hartong area. So we'd like to terminate that at this point and then reconsider it and come back to council for consideration at that point. And then the other piece is an outstanding development agreement. So this one doesn't have a natural termination date like the rest of ours do. You know, when we pay off the incentive, the thing is done. This one wasn't structured that way. So this is really a housekeeping item just to officially terminate that development agreement. All of the obligations have been met according to Public Works, and the city attorney has worked with the 3 different developers that are included. Those developers have already signed off. Now we just need council's approval to officially terminate that. Those are the last 2 outstanding items that require council action. Before we can talk about closure, there's a couple other payments that I have to make, but you'll be seeing then resolutions coming in the next few meetings to do the affordable housing extension and the actual closure of TID 4 so that we can get this all done by April 15th.
Any questions for Misty? I do not see any, so we can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you, Misty. Mayor's report. Couple of things here. We are, I don't think you mentioned this, Chad, we are starting up the Faith Leaders meetings again. The first one is March 7th at 8 a.m. at City Hall, and all elected officials are welcome to attend that if you would like. And it's something where a bunch of the faith leaders, a lot of community members, a lot of staff, and then elected officials are welcome to get together, kind of talk about things they're doing, and try and coordinate where possible. It's been in the past, we've done this for quite a while, but because of COVID, we had stopped. So that's a great thing we're starting out, and they meet about 3 or 4 times a year, depending on schedules. So that's a great thing that's starting up. And then the other thing I just wanted to do is congratulate Bill Belke on his retirement this Friday. He's been at the city for about 5.5 years. Public Works, as you know, is a very big, very complicated department, and he has overseen a lot of legacy projects in the city, including Fish Hatchery Road, Verona Road, McKee Road, and many, many neighborhoods and other projects throughout the city. I just want to thank Bill for all those years of service to the city and help with so many great projects. Congratulations to him, but we obviously will miss him. So thank you, Bill. And I can go to district reports. Why don't we start with Joe?
Yeah. So I was alerted recently by Tracy about one of our businesses, Mad Power Training. It's a fitness center. It's right on Anton Drive. They had posted a Facebook event, I guess, that fell kind of slightly outside of what they're zoned for. They did have a public meeting yesterday, but neither Dave or I were able to attend. But I'm not sure if any city staff was able to make it. I'm planning on just touching base and seeing how the meeting went, and I'll report at the next council meeting.
All right, Dave.
I don't have much to report. I think Chad is aware. We have a lot of garbage on the curb again. King James, over on Red Arrow. It really blights our neighborhoods. And really would like to get this cleaned up and not have to wait, month and a half again for this as it usually takes. So anything we can do to help facilitate getting all this garbage off the curb. Thank you.
All right, we'll stay on. Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
Alder Herbst, is it the 2900 block of King James? Is that the area?
Yes.
And whereabouts on Red Arrow?
One of the apartments. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Those are probably the 2100 block of Red Arrow?
Yeah. I think you had a resident call you and discuss it with you quite a bit already.
I'll have a conversation with building inspection tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Chad.
All right, so we'll stay online. Julia, go ahead.
No
report. All right, get some sleep. Gabriella.
No report for me.
All right, Jay.
We did have the fatality that was brought up earlier on South Sign Road, and I've had a couple of contacts with residents about that. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of things we're going to be able to do that are going to have any significant impact, but that road, I used to live, my driveway used to go right onto Sain Road, right in that area. And, you know, back in the day, it wasn't unusual to see people driving 65, 70 miles an hour down that road when there weren't, you know, the only houses that were there were our 6 houses. And now there's apartment buildings and other things. I don't see people driving as fast as those days. And I think part of it, I mean, even though the road is substantially similar, there's just more buildings, and so it makes people want to slow down. The other thing is, I think it's at Aurora where there's a little concrete divider in the middle of the road that, you know, that kind of serves as a traffic calming device. But I would look forward to seeing some information from Public Works about what other things we might be able to do. I drive that road every single day, and I haven't seen people driving too fast. And at this point, you know, we're just kind of speculating because I don't know that the police have concluded their investigation or that the State Patrol's reconstruction is finished yet. The press release from the police department earlier today sounded like it wasn't quite done. So I guess we need to wait till that's done before we can really start plowing ahead with temporary ideas. But, you know, there have been some discussions at this council with residents about people opposing the sidewalks on Sain Road. And this is exactly why we need them. Because people who are walking on the side of the road, it's just a dangerous situation. That road, I think it's only a 22-foot wide paved surface, and there just isn't a lot of space there. So if you're out there and you drive this road, please slow down.
I know we did decrease the speed in that area by 10 miles per hour about a year ago or so.
Yeah, it went from 45 to 35, and I don't know if you make it. I don't know if you make it 25. I don't know that that's going to have any noticeable impact. I think people just need to pay attention because it is a very narrow road, and we need to get the sidewalks installed.
Shannon.
No report.
All right, Jim.
No report.
Randy.
Just one item. I was reappointed to the Madison Transportation Policy Planning Board by Mayor Sadia Rhodes Conway for another 2-year term. I do want to thank Mayor Richardson for his recommendation, and we wonder why. What role does that play in this body? As we all know from last year, Metro Transit, we all have an invested stake in Metro, and that's where this particular committee comes into play. So if you have concerns regarding Metro Transit, I always have an ear. So thank you very much, Mayor Richardson. Yeah.
All right. Next council meeting is in 2 weeks. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Jay.
Second.
Seconded by Gabriella. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.